Hey guys, it's Emma back again with another book review. You might be saying, what kind of timing is this? Emma is reviewing this book right after the show came out. And yes, I'm one of those people. I picked up the books a week before the show came out, and I read them all, plus the Six of Crows duology, because I feel like I needed to read the books first. So I wanted to give a quick recap of this for some people that have not read Shadow and Bone before they watch the show, or if they just want a refresher before they watch the show or after they watch the show. First of all, Shadow and Bone is the first book in the Grishaverse by Leigh Bardugo. There is also Siege and Storm, Ruin and Rising, and then Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, King of Scars, and Rule of Wolves. That's all that Leigh Bardugo has written in the Grishaverse for right now, and in that order you should also read them. I have not read the King of Scars or Rule of Wolves yet, but they are on the way, and I will be reading them because they have some of my favorite characters in them. Nikolai. So, getting into that, Shadow and Bone, I read it because of the show. I didn't know anything about it. I saw the trailer of the show, and I've heard some of the characters' names before, and then I read the entire trilogy in 4 days. So, it was pretty good. I liked it, but it was not my favorite. Especially in the trilogy, I do not like the first book. So if that's saying anything about those people that have watched the season already, I really liked the show. I felt like it followed the story pretty well. Of course, they mixed in Six of Crows, and it complicated some things that didn't need to be complicated, but I really think it was not a failure of a book adaptation. There's a common theme that I've heard people that have actually read the series talk about, how they think Alina is kind of a flat character, so is Mal, and the only people that are actually interesting aren't the main characters, like Nikolai, the Darkling, Nina, well, she's not in this, but, you know, Alina is not the most intriguing. So to get through the book, it was a little bit hard for me when I was like, oh, you were given all these things and you don't want them and you don't appreciate them and you do nothing about it. So that was very frustrating for me. I'm used to strong female leads, like in some of the other books that Leigh Bardugo has written. I would not call Alina a strong female lead. I'd call her a female lead. Strong, maybe in Ruin and Rising, not in the first two books. I would say some of the overall themes of the book in the series are just kind of like belonging, strength, and temptation of power. Those are some of the main things that I would really bolden when thinking of this series. And even there's a little bit of complicated love story, a love square instead of a love triangle. Everything gets resolved, whether you like it or not. Everything gets resolved in the end, but still, it's a different kind of story than I was expecting. But since it followed two orphans, basically their whole lives changed, Mal and Alina. Alina met the Darkling. He showed her this whole new world of power, being a Grisha, being the Sun Summoner, the opposite of the Darkling. So there's an obvious connection right there, like, oh, they're opposites. Do opposites attract? Well, I don't know. There's Mal, the long-lost love, which in the book, Alina has a lot more feelings that are voiced. In the show, I didn't feel like the love was there one-sided. It kind of felt both-sided at the beginning and at the end. But Alina has been struggling for Mal for the longest time. She's loved him and he's just gone and slept with other people all the time, which is okay because he didn't realize that he was in love with Alina. Boring kind of trope there that I don't like, but whatever. And then, of course, Alina has this whole new life, moves on a little bit, and she's reintroduced back to Mal, back to reality, and things come crashing down. Of course, Baghra, she tells the truth about the Darkling, and we find out that this dark, sultry love story may not be the right choice. Both the series and the book really started and ended in the same place, so I can't really say much about that other than introducing the characters from Six of Crows. Loved that they were introduced, but I do not understand how they're going to be introduced in the second season or the third season because the timelines are different and they're not going to be meeting anymore. It would make no sense for them to be meeting anymore, so I don't know. Whatever they choose to do, I'll still watch it anyways because I'm already invested, but whatever. If you're struggling through Shadow and Bone, persevere until you meet Nikolai in Siege and Storm, and if you absolutely hate Siege and Storm, still not my favorite, then you can give up. But you need to meet some of these characters that actually bring life into the series. Please do. Because this book is the best one. I don't care what anyone else thinks, maybe unpopular, but Ruin and Rising is the best book, and it is the conclusion of Alina and Mal's story. Also, it's a pretty short read. These are about the same thickness as one of Sarah J. Maas's big books, so you can get through it. I know you can. That's it for my short recap of Shadow and Bone. Please tell me if you love the show, if you love the book, if you love the Grishaverse, or if you love Kaz. I know he's not in this series, but still. Wow, there are some really interesting characters in Leigh Bardugo's Grishaverse. So I would recommend reading the books because I think it's really fun to hear in the movies when there's a quote directly from the books. I know it's a nerd thing, but when I hear that after I read this, like a couple days before the show came out, I was like, oh, yes. Can't wait to hear the other things that happen. Can't wait to see Nikolai. Cannot wait for all of this to happen. So thank you for tuning into the video, and please leave in the comments below if you want to go in a deep dive of the show, or of each book, or of each character. See ya!